This is us. This is our solar system. And this is our galaxy. Okay, that dramatic music wasn't really necessary, but the Milky Way is truly fascinating. The galaxy is around 100,000 light-years wide, and if one should want to convert that into miles, well, 1 light-year is about 5.88 trillion miles. So if you multiply that by 100,000, you get this obscene number. If the Milky Way were a city and the galactic core was downtown, our solar system will be in the suburbs, around here somewhere, located about 27,000 light-years from the center in a small, quiet neighborhood called the Orion Arm. And that's a good thing, because at the center, downtown, is chaos, supernovae, radiation, a supermassive black hole with 4 million times the mass of our sun, which can tear and shred stars and space apart. There I go with the dramatic music again. Basically, it's a space war zone. So it's a good thing we live in the galactic suburbs. It's quiet, peaceful down here. Just enough time and space for something fragile to form. Something like us. We are all moving right now. And I don't mean in a philosophical way, like moving through life. I mean physically, through space, at ridiculous speeds. The Earth rotates on its axis at approximately 1,000 miles per hour. Earth also moves around the Sun at about 66,600 miles per hour. Very cool. But here's something a little more intense. The entire solar system is also orbiting the center of the Milky Way at a speed of about 514,000 miles per hour, which is quite fast. If Earth moved around the Sun at this speed, it would complete its orbit in about 47 days, instead of the current 365 days. So, with that ridiculous speed, how long do you think it takes our solar system to make one full orbit around the center of our galaxy? 225 million years. That's how massive the Milky Way is. For reference, the last time Earth was in this position in the galaxy, dinosaurs were still strolling around. Dinosaurs. Remember those? Now here's the fun part. This means we've never been in the same place in the universe twice. Every second of our life, the entire solar system is carving a brand new path through the galaxy. So even if not in a philosophical way, yeah, you could say we're going places. How old is the Milky Way? Well, it depends on what part you're asking about. The earliest stars that would eventually become part of our galaxy began forming around 13.6 billion years ago, just a few hundred million years after the Big Bang. By around 12 to 11 billion years ago, those stars and gas clouds started clamping together into proto-galaxies, the rough building blocks of what would become larger systems. And by 8.8 billion years ago, the Milky Way began to settle into the spiral shape we recognize today. Estimated to contain between 100 billion and 400 billion stars, our galaxy is still growing. The Milky Way is still creating new stars. According to astronomers, it forms about 7 stars per year, but this number is a fraction of what it once was. The rate of star formation depends on the availability of cold, dense gas, primarily hydrogen, mixed with dust and trace elements. Over time, much of that fuel has gradually been consumed. If we could observe the Milky Way 10 billion years ago, we'd see a younger, more active galaxy, forming stars at a pace far greater than it does today. The Milky Way is not only composed of stars, it is also estimated to contain hundreds of billions, if not trillions, of planets. Among the thousands that have been observed so far, some are more bizarre than others. 55 Cancri e is a carbon-rich planet that may contain vast amounts of crystallized diamond, making it theoretically worth nonillions of dollars. Nonillions. That's a real number. It's 1 with 30 zeros. How about that? Another strange planet, HD 189733b, is a scorching gas giant where 5,000 mile-per-hour winds blow molten glass sideways. Or Gliesa 436b defies physics with burning ice, a bizarre form of supercritical water that stays solid at over 800 degrees Fahrenheit due to intense gravity and pressure. Despite the countless worlds of fire, ice, and hellscape, not every planet in the Milky Way is hostile. Some may have conditions more familiar than we expect. K2-18b, located about 120 light-years away, is one such world. It orbits within its star's habitable zone where temperatures may allow liquid water. Water vapor has already been detected in its atmosphere along with carbon-based molecules. And in 2025, scientists reported the potential presence of dimethyl sulfide, or DMS, a compound on Earth that is primarily produced by living organisms. Even more intriguing, the detected concentration was 20 times higher than what's found on Earth. Since DMS is a short-lived molecule, its presence could suggest that something is actively replenishing it. However, others caution that DMS can also be produced through non-biological processes, and the data is still being studied. But even if life does exist on K2-18b, reaching it would take hundreds of thousands of years with today's technology. For now, it remains a distant world, just close enough to wonder and just far enough to remain unknown. What will happen to the solar system when the Milky Way completes the merger with the Andromeda Galaxy? Astronomers predict that the Milky Way and Andromeda, currently separated by about 2.5 million light-years, will begin merging between 3.9 and 5.6 billion years from now. This is also the estimated time when GTA 10 will be released. There won't be any sudden collision between the galaxies, but a slow interaction. The two galaxies will pass through each other multiple times, separating, then returning, until they finally settle into a new combined galaxy, one containing over 1 trillion stars. During this process, our solar system won't remain unaffected. Simulations suggest that there is a 50% chance that it will be pushed to the outskirts of the new galaxy, nearly 3 times farther from the galactic core than it is today. There's also a 12% chance that it could be ejected entirely, drifting into intergalactic space. But even in that case, Earth's orbit around the Sun would continue as usual, though by that time, life on Earth will no longer exist. Rising solar luminosity is expected to render the planet uninhabitable about 2.8 billion years before the merger even begins. But before the existential crisis sets in, let us take a moment to appreciate our home. Look at us, clinging to a rock, drifting through space in a galaxy we call the Milky Way.